The mystery of near-death experiences. Imagine this. Your heart stops, the world fades to black, and suddenly a radiant light pierces the void. A beacon so warm, so inviting, it feels like home. You're not dreaming. You're not imagining. This is a near-death experience, a phenomenon that has whispered its mysteries to millions, tugging at the edges of our understanding of life itself. Welcome to a journey where science meets the soul, where the line between here and beyond blurs just enough to make you wonder, what really happens when we teeter on the brink of death? For centuries, these stories have drifted through humanity like echoes from a distant shore. Tales of tunnels stretching into infinity, of loved ones long gone reaching out with open arms, of a peace so profound it defies words. They're not just campfire legends or the stuff of late-night musings. They're real, raw, and reported by people like you and me, ordinary souls who've brushed against the veil and returned to tell the tale. Picture a farmer in Iowa, a teacher in Hanoi, or a nurse in Sao Paulo, each recounting the same vivid thread, a light, a presence, a moment that rewrote everything they thought they knew. What is a near-death experience, you ask? It's that fragile, fleeting chapter when the body falters, when the heart stumbles, the breath stills, or the mind slips into shadow. And yet, something extraordinary unfolds. It's the mind's dance with the unknown, a symphony of sights and sensations that science is only beginning to unravel. Some see their own bodies from above, as if floating free from the weight of flesh. Others walk a path bathed in golden glow, greeted by faces they've mourned for years. And then there are those who feel an overwhelming calm, a quiet so deep it washes away every fear they've ever carried. These aren't rare whispers in the wind. Millions have walked this path, 5 to 10% of us, if the numbers hold true. That's millions of voices saying, I saw something, I felt something. And it's not just the glow of hope or the flicker of faith. It's a puzzle that's hooked the sharpest minds in labs and hospitals around the globe. What's behind that light? Why do we see grandma smile or hear a melody no one else can? Is it the brain playing its final, desperate tune? Or is it a glimpse of something more? Something we've chased in stories and prayers since the dawn of time? This isn't about cold facts or dusty textbooks. It's about you. About the questions that stir in the quiet moments, the ones that creep in when the house is still and the night feels endless. Have you ever wondered what waits on the other side? Have you ever felt a pull, a curiosity, to peek beyond the curtain? That's where we're going today. We're diving into the science of near-death experiences, not to strip away their magic, but to cradle it, to hold it up to the light, and see what it reveals about the one mystery we all share: death. So settle in. Picture that farmer gazing at a horizon no one else can see, or that nurse waking up with a story she can't shake. We're starting with the basics. What are these experiences? And why do they feel so real? From there, we'll chase the threads through the brain's hidden corridors, past the glow of that tunnel, and into the heart of what it all might mean. This isn't just a video. It's a conversation, a hand reaching out to say, let's explore this together. Because if there's one thing I've learned in a decade of sharing stories like these, it's that the unknown doesn't have to be a shadow. It can be a lantern, guiding us closer to the truth. Ready? Let's step into the mystery. What are near-death experiences? Common reports and statistics. So, what exactly is a near-death experience? It's not just a phrase tossed around in hushed tones or a plot twist in a movie. It's a moment, a breathtaking pause, when life hangs by a thread and something extraordinary unfurls. Imagine your heart stuttering to a stop, your lungs holding their last breath, or your body slipping into the stillness of a coma. In that fragile sliver of time, when the world should go dark, a curtain lifts instead. It's as if the universe whispers, "Not yet," and hands you a glimpse of something vast, something alive, something that clings to you long after you're pulled back to the here and now. These aren't fleeting daydreams or tricks of a tired mind. They happen when the stakes are highest, during cardiac arrest, a car crash, a surgery gone sideways. Picture this: a man flatlines on an operating table, his pulse a silent line, yet he later swears he floated above, watching the doctors scramble to save him. Or a woman trapped in a wreck, who finds herself walking through a tunnel of light, her father's voice calling her name. These are the stories, raw, unshakable, that ripple through millions of lives. 5 to 10% of us, they say, have stood at this edge and returned with a tale to tell. That's not a handful of outliers. That's a chorus, a swell of voices stretching across every corner of the earth. What do they see? The reports paint a picture so vivid, it's like stepping into a shared dream. Nearly 8 out of 10, 79%, say they broke free from their bodies, hovering like a kite cut loose, gazing down at the chaos below. Picture yourself rising, weightless, seeing your own hand still, your own chest unmoving, yet feeling more alive than ever. Then there's the light. 45% speak of it, a glow that doesn't blind but beckons, spilling through a tunnel that feels less like an end and more like a beginning. And the reunions. 40% meet loved ones lost to time, their faces as clear as yesterday, their presence a balm to every ache left behind. But it's not all warmth and wonder. For some, the journey dips into shadow. 14% come back with stories that chill the air, visions of a void, a weight, a place that feels like falling forever. One man described it as a cavernous silence, another as a scream he couldn't voice. These aren't the tales we linger on, but they're part of the tapestry, threads of truth that remind us this experience isn't one size fits all. It's a kaleidoscope, shifting with each soul that steps into it, yet somehow stitched together by patterns we can't ignore. These echoes don't care about borders or beliefs. A Christian might see angels, a Buddhist might glimpse the bardo, but the bones of the story stay the same: light, presence, peace, or sometimes fear. It's as if the human spirit, stripped to its core, reaches for the same stars, no matter the sky it's born under. And the numbers back it up. Studies from dusty journals to hospital charts nod in agreement. This isn't folklore spun by candlelight. It's a phenomenon etched into our collective pulse, a heartbeat that refuses to fade. Why does this matter? Because it's not just about what happens in that fleeting moment. It's about what it leaves behind. These aren't sterile stats or cold data points. They're windows into the human condition, into the questions we carry like quiet companions. What makes that light so real? Why do we see the ones we've lost? Is it the brain's last gasp, a final flare before the dark, or something deeper, something that lingers beyond the reach of our instruments? This is where the ground gets soft, where science and wonder brush shoulders, daring us to look closer. So hold that image. The man above his body, the woman in the tunnel, the light that calls them both. We're not done yet. Next, we'll chase the why. Why these visions bloom, why they feel like truth poured into our bones. The brain's got secrets to spill, and the labs are lighting up with answers. Stay with me. We're stepping into the science, where the mystery starts to glow even brighter. The science behind the light and loved ones. Now, let's peel back the curtain on that radiant light and those tender reunions with loved ones. Those hallmarks of near-death experiences that feel so real, so alive. They linger like a melody you can't shake. Why do we see a glow that pulls us in, soft yet fierce, like a sunrise breaking through a storm? Why do faces we've mourned, grandparents, siblings, friends, step out of memory and into focus, their voices as clear as a bell on a still morning? These aren't just poetic flourishes. They're threads science is tugging at, unraveling a tapestry woven from the brain, the body, and maybe something more. Settle in. This is where the mystery meets the microscope, and it's a journey worth every step. Start with the light. That tunnel, that glow, it's the heartbeat of so many stories. Nearly half of those who've brushed death, 45%, describe it. A brilliance that doesn't scorch but soothes, a path that feels less like an exit and more like an invitation. Science has a hunch. It might be the brain's own swan song, a flare born from chaos. Picture this. When oxygen runs thin, when the body teeters on the edge, the brain doesn't just flicker out, it fights. A 2023 study watched 4 patients slip from life support, and in half of them, 2 souls crossing that threshold. Something remarkable lit up. Waves of gamma activity. Those electric ripples tied to awareness surged in the visual cortex, the part of your mind that paints the world in color and shape. It's as if the brain, in its final bow, turns the lights up, not down, crafting a glow that feels like eternity captured in a breath. But it's not just a random spark. Think of your eyes in a dark room, how they strain, how they conjure shapes from shadows. When blood slows and oxygen fades, the brain's visual machinery might misfire, spinning a tunnel from the edges of sight, a light from the center of survival. It's a theory, not a verdict, a whisper from a lab that says, this could be why. And yet, when someone wakes and says, it wasn't just light, it was peace, you can't help but wonder, is that all it is? A trick of wiring? Or is the brain a window, not just a wall? Then there's the reunions. 40% of these travelers meet someone they've lost. A mother sees her son, gone too soon, his laugh unchanged. A widower feels his wife's hand, warm as the day they met. These aren't hazy dreams, they're sharp, vivid, like stepping back into a moment you'd give anything to reclaim. Science leans in here, too, with a gentle hand. One idea points to memory, those deep, sacred corners where love lives forever. In 2019, a study of over 1,000 people found a clue. 47% of those with near-death experiences had something called REM intrusion, where dreamlike fragments slip into waking life, compared to just 14% of those who hadn't. When the brain teeters, it might dip into that dream state, pulling faces from the past into the present, dressing them in light and breath. There's more to chew on. Ever heard of dopamine? That feel-good chemical floods us in joy, in love, in triumph. Back in 2011, researchers at Cambridge watched it spike in animals near death, a rush that might paint the world in comfort, might summon a smile from someone you've missed. Or take DMT, a molecule tucked in our brains, a natural whisper of the psychedelic. In 2018, a small study gave it to 13 volunteers, and their trips echoed near-death tales. Light peace, a sense of crossing over. Could our own chemistry, in its final act, brew a vision so potent it feels like truth? It's a possibility, a brushstroke on a canvas still half-painted. But let's pause for a story, because numbers alone don't hold you. Meet Kevin van der Linden. He flatlined after a heart attack, saw that light, felt his father's presence, and came back changed. He sold his house, wrote a book, stood before crowds to say, there's more out there. If that was just dopamine or DMT, why did it rewrite his life? Why does it rewrite so many? These aren't just flickers in the dark. They're torches that burn through fear, through doubt, leaving people softer, braver, hungrier for meaning. Ask yourself, if you saw your lost love waiting, would you ever be the same? And it's not new. Rewind to Plato, his tale of air, a warrior who died and returned, speaking of light and souls. Flip through Egypt's Book of the Dead, or Tibet's ancient texts, tunnels, guides, a journey beyond. Every culture's dipped its pen in this ink, sketching the same outline. Something calls us, something knows us. Is it the brain echoing our oldest stories? Or are those stories echoes of something real? Science doesn't have the final word. It's still listening, still tracing the lines. So here's the heartbeat of it. That light might be oxygen fading. Those faces might be memory's gift, but the why runs deeper. Dopamine, DMT, gamma waves, they're pieces, not the picture. Because when someone wakes and says, "I wasn't afraid anymore," you feel it, the weight of something science can measure but not hold. We're not done yet. Next, we'll dive into the brain itself, how it hums in those final moments, how it might rewrite everything we think we know about the end. Stay close. The story's just beginning to sing. Brain activity in NDEs. What research reveals. Let's step into the engine room of it all. The brain, that quiet marvel humming beneath our skulls, orchestrating every thought, every heartbeat, every whisper of who we are. When death knocks, we've long assumed it flips the switch, dims the lights, and calls it a day. But what if the brain doesn't just fade to black? What if, in those razor-thin moments when life hangs in the balance, it flares up instead, bright, bold, and alive in ways we're only beginning to grasp? This isn't science fiction. It's science fact, etched in studies and stories that pull us closer to the edge of wonder. So come with me. We're diving into what happens inside your head during a near-death experience. And trust me, it's a revelation that'll stick with you. Picture this. Your heart stops. The monitor flatlines, a single note of silence cutting through the chaos. Doctors rush, machines beep, but inside your mind, the curtain doesn't drop, it rises. For years, we thought the brain shut down fast, 10, maybe 20 seconds after the heart quits, lights out. But the labs are telling a different tale. In 2023, a team led by Sam Parnia watched 53 patients teeter on that brink, heart stopped, body still, and found something astonishing. 40% of them, nearly half, showed signs of consciousness during resuscitation. Not just random blips, but brain waves, electric ripples of awareness, dancing across their skulls as if to say, "I'm still here." This isn't a quiet goodbye, it's a defiant encore. Zoom in closer. Another study, same year, peered into 4 patients as life support slipped away. 2 of them, half the group, lit up with gamma waves, those fast, furious signals tied to dreaming, to thinking, to being awake in the deepest sense. These weren't faint flickers. They surged in the brain's hotspots, places where memory, vision, and raw awareness collide. Imagine it, your body's done, but your mind's painting pictures, weaving stories, holding on. One patient even named fruit, apples, pears, bananas, played aloud while they lay unconscious, a detail so sharp it feels like a hand reaching out from the void. Was it chance? Maybe. But it's a thread that tugs at everything we've assumed. This isn't a fluke. Rewind to rats in a lab, same deal. As their hearts gave out, their brains didn't slump. They sang. Gamma waves spiked, a chorus of activity linking mind to moment. It's as if the brain, facing the end, doesn't surrender. It rallies, stitching together a tapestry of light and sound and feeling. Jima Borjajan, one of the minds behind this work, calls it a challenge to rethink death, to see it not as a cliff, but a bridge. Because if the brain's still humming, still weaving, what does that mean for the person inside? What does it mean for you, lying there, caught between worlds? Let's lean into that. These waves aren't just noise, they're signatures of consciousness. The same ones that flare when you dream of summer fields or solve a puzzle in the quiet of night. In those patients, they peaked where the brain ties past to present, memory's playground, where your grandmother's laugh or your child's first step live forever. Could this be why so many see loved ones, feel that glow? It's not proof of an afterlife, not yet, but it's a crack in the door, a hint that the mind doesn't just blink out. It reaches, it reflects, it holds tight to what matters most. And it's not alone. Picture psychedelics, DMT, LSD, the wild cousins of our brain's own brew. A 2022 study tracked over 3,000 souls who danced with both near-death experiences and those mind-bending trips. The overlap was uncanny. Light peace, a shedding of fear that lasted long after the journey ended. Both lit up the brain in similar ways, a fireworks show of connection and clarity. One woman said her near-death moment felt like coming home. Another, after DMT, called it death without the dying. Science sees the echo, a brain unleashed, unshackled, painting a world beyond the body's cage. But here's a story to anchor it. A man, let's call him John, flatlined for 6 minutes. Medics fought, paddles shocked, and he came back. Later, he sat wide-eyed, telling his wife he'd seen their dog, dead 5 years, bounding through a field, tail wagging like a metronome of joy. The doctors shrugged, oxygen starvation, they said. Yet John sold his car, quit his job, started volunteering. "I'm not afraid anymore," he told me, his voice steady as stone. If that's just a glitch, why does it rewrite lives? Why does it leave people softer, braver, eyes open to a bigger sky? This matters, not just in labs, but in the quiet corners of your own heart. Imagine your brain in its last stand, not crumbling, but creating a final gift, a burst of you before the silence. Parnia says it could change how we save lives, how we ease the dying. Borjajan sees a map to consciousness itself. But for you, it's a whisper. Maybe the end isn't an end. Maybe it's a beginning we don't yet understand. So hold that thought, the brain aglow, the mind awake. Next, we'll ask, what does this say about death? The answer's close, and it's as warm as it is wild. Stay with me, we're almost there. What NDEs reveal about death. So here we are, standing at the edge of the big question. What do near-death experiences tell us about death itself? It's the shadow we all carry, the quiet guest at every table. And yet these stories, these bursts of light, these reunions, these stubborn flickers of brain and soul, crack open a window we didn't know was there. This isn't about pinning down a final answer or tying a neat bow on the unknown. It's about letting the mystery breathe, letting it wrap around us like a warm wind, stirring something deep. Let's walk this last stretch together and see what glows in the dark. First, the science, because it's our lantern here. Those studies, those brain waves humming when the heart goes still, they nudge us toward a truth we've dodged. Consciousness doesn't just snap off like a light switch. Sam Parnia, peering into those 2023 cases, saw it clear. 40% of people, heart stopped, minds alive, weaving something real in the chaos of resuscitation. It's not forever, minutes maybe, but it's enough to make you pause. Picture it. Your body's done, yet your mind's still holding the reins, painting a world of light or love or peace. Death then isn't a wall, it's a doorway, and the brain lingers there, reluctant to let go. What does it leave behind? For those who come back, it's not just a story, it's a shift. 90% of people nearing life's end, watched in hospice wards, report visions, loved ones, scenes so vivid they soothe the ache of leaving. 60% say it's comfort, a hand on the shoulder saying, "It's okay." One woman, frail and fading, smiled through tears and told her nurse, "My sister's waiting. She's got the tea ready." If that's the brain's last gift, it's a kind one, washing fear away like rain on a dusty road. And for those who survive, they don't just live, they live differently, eyes wider, heart softer, as if they've glimpsed a secret too big to keep. But it's more than comfort, it's a mirror. These experiences, with their tunnels and their faces, reflect something ancient, something we've whispered about forever. Plato saw it in his warrior air, Egypt carved it in tombs, Tibet wove it into sacred texts, a journey, a crossing, a light that calls. Is the brain just replaying the old songs, or are those songs echoes of something real? Science can't say, not yet. It measures the waves, tracks the dopamine, but it can't weigh the peace that settles in a survivor's bones. And that's where the wonder lives, in the gap between what we know and what we feel. Think of it like this. If your mind can glow when your body fails, if it can summon your mother's voice or a field of endless green, what does that say about you? Not just the flesh and blood, but the part that dreams, that loves, that holds on. Parnia calls it a clue. Maybe consciousness isn't chained to the heart's beat. Others, like those hospice workers, see a bridge, a way to face the end with grace, not dread. For you, it might be a quiet nudge. The end could be less a fall and more a step, a shift into something we can't name but can feel in our marrow. Here's a story to hold on to. A man, call him Tom, crashed his bike, helmet cracked, chest still, gone for 8 minutes. He woke up talking about a river, his dad fishing on the bank, the air thick with summer. I didn't want to leave, he said, voice low, but I knew I'd see it again. He's not afraid now. Death's not a thief anymore, just a guide. If that's what near-death hands us, a map to peace, then maybe it's less about solving death and more about living with it, unafraid. So what's the takeaway? Science says the brain fights to the last, spinning light from shadow. Survivors say it's a gift that rewrites fear into hope. And the rest of us? We're left with a question, warm and alive. If death isn't the end we think, what is it? Not an answer, but a possibility, a flame that flickers beyond the veil. Next, we'll wrap this up, tie it to you, and leave you with something to carry. Stay close. The end's as beautiful as the start. Call to action and engagement. And here we are, at the end of this winding road through light, through memory, through the stubborn hum of a brain that refuses to bow quietly. We've walked the edge together, peered into the glow of near-death experiences, felt the weight of loved ones calling across time, and marveled at a mind that paints peace when all else fades. But this isn't just a story to hear and forget, it's a spark to hold, a thread to weave into your own days. So let's close this chapter with a heartbeat, a connection, a chance to make it ours. Pull up a chair, this is for you. Think back to that farmer staring at a horizon no one else could see, or that nurse waking with a tale too vivid to shake. Maybe you've got a story like that, something you've tucked away, a moment that brushed the beyond and left its mark. Or maybe it's someone you love, a parent, a friend, who came back with eyes a little brighter, a little softer. I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. Your voice, your memory, your piece of this vast puzzle. Because this isn't my journey alone, it's ours, and every whisper you share lights it up a little more. If this stirred something in you, if that light, that science, that quiet courage hit a chord, don't let it slip away. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and stick with me. We're not done exploring, not by a long shot. There's more to uncover about the mind, about the edges of life, about the questions that keep us awake when the world's gone still. This channel's your lantern, and I promise we'll keep chasing the glow together, step by step, story by story. Want to dive deeper? There's a world of wonder waiting beyond these minutes. Check out the link below. Discover Magazine's newsletter, packed with the latest on consciousness, on death, on the science that's rewriting what we know. It's free, it's sharp, and it'll land in your inbox like a letter from a friend who gets it. Sign up, sip your coffee, and let the next discovery find you. You won't regret it. Before we part, let me leave you with this. Death's not the shadow we've made it out to be. It's a mystery, sure, but one we can face with open hands, not clenched fists. These experiences, the tunnels, the reunions, the brain's last dance, they're not here to solve it all. They're here to soften it, to remind us that even at the end, there's something alive, something warm, something that feels like us. So take that with you today. Hold it close. Live a little braver because of it. Thank you for being here, for walking this path with me, for letting these stories sink in. You're not just a viewer. You're part of this, part of the why behind every word. Share your thoughts, your tales, your what-ifs below. I'll be reading, I'll be there. And until next time, keep looking up, keep wondering. The unknown's not a wall, it's a window, and we're just getting started. See you soon.